Good evening and welcome to the Rick McCormick Show. I am coming to you live from 10X headquarters down here with the Grant Cardone team. I'm, of course, involved with Grant and one of his certified 10X business coaches, where we train realtors and brokers in the real estate space. And it's a massive and powerful thing here he's built. But for the next 60 minutes, we're going to be talking a little real estate and all things real estate. And we're happy you're with us, and we'll be joined by some special guests later in the hour. And we'll hear kind of what's happening with mortgage and mortgage rates from the owner at Security Financial Mortgage, Kendal Dexter. And then later in the hour, we'll hear from Brad Martin, the owner at Premier Insurance, with what's happening on the insurance front. But it is, understand, like I said, but there's been a little in and out, but it's nice there in the listening in Oklahoma City, where we normally come to you from. It's been a nice day there. Like I said, a little overcast, damp, and not quite a sunny South Florida day here, but nevertheless, still happy to be here. And like I said, been down here a few days at a wealth conference with Cardone and his team, and then in a coaching mastermind here as we're involved with the 10X, Grant Cardone and the 10X family. A lot of great people. Have had a chance to come across some really great financial people and financial minds in the last few days in the wealth conference and tax strategies. And speaking of tax strategies, we talk about a lot of things on here that the show is for homeowners. It's for potential homeowners. If you ever thought of buying, certainly if you're a real estate agent, this is a great place to be. This is the right space. Rick, I'm your namesake of the show and your host. I am Rick McCormick. We're in our 5th season here with ArtistFirst.com, and we're happy to be coming to you every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you own a home, like I said, we've been a lot of information here that we've been through the recent days about the tax strategies, and I won't get too deep in that this evening on the show, but I will tell you that, like I said, owning your home and owning property is certainly has some positive tax ramifications. And if you own a second property as a rental, or in the case of myself, we have some that are short-term rentals in the Airbnb space, there's quite a significant tax advantage associated with those. So keep that in mind. From the homeowner's perspective, many of you probably have filed taxes back in April, and some of you have an extension and will file later in the fall. As you know, your interest is that you pay on your mortgage, that your interest is all tax deductible and can certainly be a tax benefit over renting something. If you rent, you do not get any of that advantage, and owning a home, there's quite a significant tax advantage. So that's certainly something to think about. And of course, if you own a second property, the ability to depreciate that and to enjoy a lot of tax advantages are there as well when you own a second property, whether it be a short-term rental, or as in our case, or whatever the case. Now, if it's the lake house or something a little different, but if it's an investment property, you got some real tax advantages there for sure. All right. Again, if you're listening for the first time, I'm Rick McCormick, a realtor and broker here with the Rick McCormick Realty Group under the umbrella of eXp Realty. And again, in our 5th season here on Artist First. If you're interested in information, we've got a couple of books in place that I've written. One is called Selling Secrets You Can't Afford to Miss. And if you drop us a text on our text line at 405-310-7470, we can send you one of those digitally at no cost. And if you'd like a hard copy, send us your name and address, and for mailing costs, we'll get you a signed and autographed hard copy if you'd like. Digital, they can come immediately and at no cost. And then from the buyer's side, we've got your guide to purchasing a home. And good information in both. If you are interested in purchasing, or if you are looking to sell, and many times you're doing both, because most of the time sellers become buyers. So I have an opportunity to work with a lot of great people out there. We've got some closings coming up in the next few days. Got a property there in Norman with the seller, Miss Kathleen Gray, that's going to be closing next week. And then my good friends, Jerry and his wife, Mary Jerry, and Mary Pickett, gorgeous home we're closing on next week up in Glenhurst Villas up in northwest Oklahoma City. 73162 zip code, and got Devin Blasco under contract. We've got 4 or 5 things coming up in June that are going to be closing. So enjoy, love working with our clients. And if you ever thought of selling your home, you ought to give us a call. We can run an evaluation for you and meet with you, and meeting with my good friends Philip Hahn, Natalie Wynn Friday. I'm going to have a nice home out there in Northwest Norman that we're going to be bringing up next week. So a lot of things going on. A lot of good properties, a lot of good homes, and work with buyers. Love putting people in that. Love helping anybody, but we love putting young people in that first home. You really kind of help change the trajectory of someone's life when you take them from being a renter to being a homeowner. It's just kind of a different feeling and a different thing. It really is a real positive impact for a lot of people, for sure. All right, if you've got a question or would like to reach out, you can hit us again on that text line, 405-310-7470. So that's our line. All right, as we kind of look at the market today, like I said, we're going to hear about from Mr. Kendal Dexter in a moment about mortgage rates and what they've been at. The stock market was a good day today, and it was positive, and rates have been, that hasn't always been the case, but recent time they've been kind of following the market. Stock market has a great day, not so good a day for the rates. Stock market has a good day and a good day for the rates, and I think we saw some of that today in the positive energy from the market and also positive interest rates. And what we'd really love to see, we've talked about this on the show before, is for the Federal Reserve. They're meeting again, let's see, I believe it's 2 weeks from today. I believe it's Kendal Dexter will have that information when he comes on, but I believe it's June the 18th. We'll hear from Jerome Powell and his boys once again, the committee of the Federal Reserve. And all of the indicators of the reasons they took rates up because of inflation, all of those same reasons are there to take them down. Inflation is down for I believe 3 consecutive months now. It's down to the area that they were talking about where they wanted it. The GDP was where they wanted it to be. And so what we'd like to see, as we've talked about, I would like to get to a place where interest rates are sustainable. Getting down to 2.75 and 3 where they were before is not long-term sustainable. I think if we could get them to 4.5 to 5.25 right in there, I wish we could get them there and keep them there for a decade. Doesn't matter which party's in political power, which philosophy is out there. And what would happen is people would stop talking about it. It wouldn't even be a thing. You just go buy a house. I mean, interest rates we discuss them every 2 weeks here on this show because they're up, they're down, they're this, they're that, they're bouncing all over the place. Now, fortunately, they haven't bounced too far in the last 12 to 18 months. They've been somewhat in the same range from about 6 to 7.5, high to low. But I'd love to see a time when people just know interest rates are about 5%. Maybe I get a 4.75. Maybe I get a 5.25. It's not even a discussion. And you talk about something that would really spur our national economy, because housing is always one of the top. Some people would argue it's the top, but it's always one of the top 5 market indicators in the country because it creates so much flow and movement of money, which is a good thing, but also creates new building. It creates jobs in the mortgage industry, in the real estate industry, in every aspect of the building industry. You know, it's so if we could see that and get some momentum and get things rolling in the housing industry, which interest rates go down, I think we're going to see, may not be quite the period of COVID, but it's going to be a pretty strong little tsunami that I think that we're going to see coming up. Speaking of those interest rates, I believe we've got in the studio Kendal Dexter. Kendal, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here. You're speaking my language, talking rates.
Well, I think kind of talking about the whole thing. What is the next Fed meeting? The 18th, is that right, of June?
That's right. We've got 18 June, 30 July, and September 17th. So those are the next three, all 6 weeks apart.
And I know you had some information talking about that they were definitely going to drop rates in September. I said, well, what about the 2 meetings prior to that?
Yeah, they're basically what I'm reading is they've gone up to about the expectation is about 95% chance that they will decrease rates in those 3 meetings. Like not necessarily all 3, but during the course of those 3 meetings. Could be this one, could be the next, could be the third, could be all 3, could be 2 out of the 3. But they're saying 95% chance they're expecting some sort of decrease in those 3 meetings.
Yeah. Okay. In those next 3 meetings. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about today. I mean, because the stock market was positive. Was it not positive today?
Yeah.
And what about the rate market?
Yeah, we had a good rate market day, and when you go back through the last 2 weeks, we missed one business day because of Memorial Day, but we're really on a pretty good heater. A lot of these days, minimal gains. So when you're in the business, you kind of look at a +7. You say, okay, that's kind of ho-hum. But when you start adding them up and you have 2 great days in there and then a bunch of, every day except for one was at least slightly positive in the last 2 weeks when the market was open. So it adds up. After adding 30 more today, it adds up to 88 basis points over 2 weeks. So very, very good rebound from what had happened the 2 weeks prior, and we're basically back to square one where we were a month ago.
Okay, so we've improved. How many basis points since we were last on?
88 in the last 2 weeks, 30 of that coming today. 30 came on the day after Memorial Day. So really, most of the days, when you ask me how the rates are, they're okay. I think it's slightly positive, but because every day it's 5, it's 6. It's nothing that's eye-opening or eye-popping at all. It's kind of bland. But when you add all those up over 2 weeks, and then you have 2 really good days, we gained 88 basis points. So, and that's pretty significant.
Yes, definitely significant. So, I want to talk a little bit about the market and what's been going on here, and then we can kind of tie that into mortgage rates. We're still, from our numbers perspective, we're still very much in a buyer's market. We have tonight, our inventory prior to COVID, our normal was 6,000, as I like to say. That's kind of where we were, and we dropped down to 1,800 during COVID. Crazy 10 offers on every property and lots of buyers and limited inventory. That inventory climbed back up to 3, 4, 5, hit the 6,000. And we've continued to climb. Tonight we're at 7,872. We're almost 7,900 properties. Now, that is a buyer's market when 6,000 was normal. And now we're at, right at 7,900. So we're that is, you're adding 1,800. I mean, you're adding just slightly over 30% to the inventory. So that becomes significant. And I know, Kendall, talk a little bit about the largest, I guess, United Wholesale Mortgage is the largest dollar-wise and number-wise mortgage lender in the country. And their owner came out with kind of basically what we've been saying here on the show. I'll frame that for our listeners on what Matt Ishby said today.
Yeah, Ishbia was basically saying that he said what we've always been saying this: appreciation outweighs the extra rate. And he was calculating a $400,000 purchase, which is probably more normal in a lot of places in the country. They're obviously nationwide, number one lender in the country overall. And he was basically saying if you pay $400 for a house and you get a 6.5% rate, let's say, but you don't want to do it because you're waiting for that 5.5, but it appreciates 3%, and you finance that 3% higher at a point lower, you're actually going to pay more monthly. And it's basically the same thing we've been saying, is if the 3% on average, which will probably increase when rates are lower, and that $412,000 house might go for $425 because of increased demand due to more affordable payments and more affordable rates. the appreciation will outweigh the amount that you have locked down at the 6.5, and you can refinance at that time.
Yes. Now, listeners, follow this. I don't think this is too deep. Just follow us. If you own your house for the next year and a half, and the $400,000 home goes up 3% a year, okay, that's $12,000, and then another $6,000, okay, in a year and a half. Let's say that $400,000 home is now worth $400,000, and we'll round it up. Say it's worth $415,000. It's gone up in that year and a half. The difference that you're going to pay in the appreciation outweighs the interest. And waiting to buy it, as Kendal pointed out, may draw more competition, a lot more buyers, and it may drive the price up. So that $400,000 house may be $425,000. I mean, people are going to price the houses based on the number of the inventory drives it. By and large, inventory drives prices. Right now, we've got almost 7,900 properties in the market. That's 31% over what used to be normal. So right now, we can get you a great buy. When we get a lot of buyers out there and interest rates come down and those inventory numbers go down, then it's going to be a different story. But what are the specifics?
There's two more factors to consider, and that is, number one, interest paid is potentially tax deductible, whereas paying more for a house has no benefits. Number two, getting in more on the ground floor of value in our local metroplex, in our county and the surrounding counties, there is a tax cap. So they'll set your taxable market value, and as the actual market value increases, the taxable market value is capped at certain places. And so that just, little bits of money you can get for getting in more on the ground floor rather than getting in later, the bigger piece being the appreciation. But let's say on that situation, on $400,000, if you got the 6.5 versus the 5.5, paying for the $415 instead of $400, you're talking about a $50 decrease to your payment net from buying it for $400. But how much money did you give up? $500 a month equates to $600 a year. In that we might be talking about.
You talk about $50 a month on payment or $500?
Right, 50.
Well, that's $600 a year.
Right. So waiting for that 5.5 versus taking the 6.5 gains in a year's time gains you $600 net when you paid $15,000 more for the house. Waiting for that rate.
Yeah. Okay. So gang, the point of interest he's talking about is $50, and so if you had it 18 months, that's $900 that you saved. Well, I didn't pay a high interest. No, you didn't. You would have paid $900 less, but you're paying $15,000 more potentially for the house. That's what we're trying to get to. That's where we're trying to come. Now, let's keep going on this scenario. 7,872. In the time that we've been on the air, and in the time that I've been in real estate, our inventory's never hit 8,000. We're pretty doggone close right now. 7,872. Now, what kind of activity do we have? I like to talk about how many new homes came on the market in the last 7 days. And I'm talking 7 days since last Wednesday this time. I've had 831 new listings and 176 return to the market. So we got over 1,000 new properties. But we also have sold and closed 748 since last Wednesday. So we're closing 150 deals a day in this market. So do not let your next door neighbor or your friend from church say, well, yeah, nobody's doing anything in real estate right now. Wrong. 150 a day, Kendal. And now the other side of this is I'm still having a lot of expired listings. Like I said, I think we're going to be talking with some folks that we know they've done a couple mortgages at Kendal on Friday about putting their home up, and I'm still able, and we are still able to sell things, but many people cannot. I had 277 expired listings and 36 withdrawal. I mean, over 300 properties came off the market in the last 7 days. People that, they did not, were listed and did not sell, although 150 a day are closing. So there's a lot of dynamics there. There's a lot of numbers to play with. We got 831 new listings on the market. We got 748 that sold. I mean, so there's a lot of activity, a lot of stuff going on there on the listings, on the sales, on the expired. We've got a lot of market activity.
There's a tremendous time for a buyer, as it has been, but it's about the tippy top right now. Great opportunity for buyers. And you can tell when 7,900 houses, now some of these would be new builds, but the majority not. And when people put their house on the market, they're trying to make a transaction happen. They're trying to make real estate deals happen. And it just happens to be buyer's choice right now. So as soon as these rates come down, it's all, the dominoes are going to fall. And you want to get ahead of that, man, I'm telling you. Everybody out there that's thinking about waiting, stop waiting. It's going to cost you.
Well, the owner of United Wholesale Mortgage, who's also, incidentally, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, and it's Matt Ishbia. Did I say that right?
Yeah, he's a lot better mortgage company owner than he is an MBA owner. That's for sure.
Well, where is Kevin Durant going next would be the question. But once again, our text line is 405-310-7470. If you'd like to reach out and ask us a question or just let us know you're listening. But appreciate you being with us here this evening on this Wednesday evening, June the 4th. I'm Rick McCormick, your host, and joined here by Kendal Dexter. And we've got the owner of Premier Insurance coming on with us, and local investor Brad Martin after the break.
Hey, Coach Mack here. I've been in real estate for over 10 years and still am on the front line. Want my show notes and other helpful resources for new real estate agents? Go to coachmac10x.com/podcast. Let's get back into the show.
Good evening and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Rick McCormick. Glad you're with us this evening. This is a lovely summer. I mean, 2025 is slipping away, baby, June the 4th, but it's a great real estate time. Since last Wednesday evening this time, 748 properties have sold, closed 150 a day, roughly. I know 5 business days, by the way. It would be 750. We're at 748, 831 new listings. I mean, how about pendings? Those are 689 in the hopper, waiting to pin. So in the last week, that is, good gosh, I mean, that's 1,400 plus. 1,500 properties counting what's sold and what's in escrow waiting to sell. We got a tremendous market here in Oklahoma City. I mean, tremendous. We'll talk for the three of us. We can't help but talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder starting. We're 4 wins away from that world championship, and which is just another great statement for our city. But we'll save that for a bit later. But I didn't want to bring in Brad Martin, the owner at Premier Insurance, the largest independent insurance carrier in the state of Oklahoma. Brad, it's been about 4 weeks since we had you on, so it's good to have you back. I know there's, our shows are going out on Spotify and Amazon Music and a number of places, and our YouTube channel, and I know that we've got listeners out there hungry to hear you once again.
Yeah, great to be back, Coach. I missed you. I missed my good friend, old friend Kendal. Missed the audience. So it's a pleasure to be back. Excited to be moving into summer. With insurance rates staying steady, with the Oklahoma City Thunder playing in the NBA Finals. Man, you couldn't ask for better times right now.
No, we got a great city, man. And like I said, not to get too deep into this, but I was watching a documentary. It was very, very touching, by the way, on the bombing. It was 95. It's 30 years ago. And as I watched that, and I watched how everybody, the sadness and just the destruction, but how everybody came together and helped each other and kind of the Oklahoma standard. And I remember a few years after that, as I was traveling in and out of here. I haven't lived here continuously as you gentlemen have, but I remember back in 99, 2000, I mean, you could have taken a bird shot scatter gun down there and shot it in the evenings in downtown. It wouldn't hit anybody. And what we've done in this last 25 years with our city. There was a little 5-year period there when there was nothing going on and just a rebuild and reset, but it's just been unbelievable, and I really, should the Thunder win the World Championship, and we all three strongly believe that they are going to, it's just kind of ironic that 30 years, just a short, a mile or so from where that building went up, we're getting ready to, that we have an NBA franchise downtown, number one. And number two, we have the best franchise in the NBA. That's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. And on the 30-year anniversary, not to the day, but the 30-year, that happened in April, and this is going to be secured here in the month of June. But I find all that very neat, as far as this a statement for our city. But there are a lot of good things going on. I know, Brad, we mentioned him once before, but you brought on a new colleague that's really doing some good nuts and bolts thing there. David Portal is working in your organization. I guess is really blowing it up. I mean, it's really working and finding people some great insurance rates. And I know I just, bought a property an investment property we're turning into an Airbnb, and he did some great work for me. And of course, you guys have my insurance overall, but I mean, mention the listeners a little bit about your company, and maybe David specifically, because you got a guy there that is really hustling. You got 60 carriers, and I mean, he's taking stuff and trying to work it through every one of them. He brought me back a rate, and I was kind of like, what the hell here? I mean, good God. And he went to work, and we went $4,000. I said, that seems a little bit high to me, man. And I'll say, yeah, let me see what I can do. And then in a couple of days, he had that thing down from $4,000 to $1,800. And just looked like he's really doing a great job.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned it. We have 60 carriers. So your typical insurance agency, State Farm, Farmers, et cetera, they might rep one or two. They might rep State Farm and one other carrier, Allstate and one other carrier. When you have 60 carriers, let's be honest, they're kind of the top 5 to 10 that you're going to go through for this type of risk, for this type of house. And then you're going to quote that house. You're going to send it to the clients. You're going to hopefully make sure that that's going to fit their needs from a insurance standpoint, but also a budgetary standpoint. And you're going to move on to the next one just because it is so labor intensive to do what we do. With David on board, man, he is really good about fighting over and over and over again for the client to check 2 boxes. Box number 1 is coverage. Box number 2 is price. And so he might say, like in your specific case, it's like, hey, here is a really good rate with a really good coverage, and let me keep looking and see if I can find as good of coverage for even a better rate. And in your case, he was able to do that. He took it from $4,000 to $1,800. Now,
that's right.
For everybody out there, like that $4,000 was not a bad rate. It just wasn't as good as what we could find. And so he continued to work for you. He saved you another couple grand, and that's what he's been doing, which has been a real big blessing for not only our team, but our clients that we serve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what everybody wants. You don't want, as Allstate advertises, you don't want cut rate coverage. But the thing is in many cases, State Farm and Allstate are probably the 2 worst that fight you the hardest on a payout. And
yeah,
I mean, but no, I appreciate what he's doing. I know he's got to be a big asset to you, David Portal. Big shout out to him there with Premier Insurance and what he's doing. Guys, what kind of moving back to the tomorrow night, the Thunder are in the championship, the World Championship of the NBA, or the NBA Finals, I guess is the official term, for the first time since 2012 in 13 years. And I just, of course, we have a sports talk show as well, and we're really talk about them a lot. We're all really excited about it, but it's gonna be rocking down in Scissortail Park tomorrow afternoon. I hope the weather's nice. I hope it doesn't rain, and these next couple weeks are going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I kind of wish we had the Knicks or the Celtics just for name play, but hey, we have no control over that. So the Indiana Pacers are coming to town, and Kendal, is the second game Saturday? Are they Thursday, Saturday, or are they Thursday, Sunday?
No, they're going Thursday, Sunday. They're spacing it out a little bit. Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday type of deal. So So we're going to see the Thunder Thursday and Sunday in Oklahoma City, and then the first road game will be Wednesday, which I'm assuming they're going to open the Paycom for what they did in the conference finals, where Mario's calling the game and Rumble's there and free entry for people that can't spend $500 on a nosebleed, which is basically what we're dealing with right now when you look at tickets. This is a tremendous opportunity to enjoy it with all the fans, get seats you've never had before in a finals environment. I mean, the game's not right in front of you, but the environment's tremendous. So I love what they're doing with that.
Yeah, no, that is really neat. And of course, the first time they did it's when we had the bad loss at Minnesota, but that took a little air out of the sails. But it is a neat thing, and I mean, the city's totally behind the team. We've talked in past shows like, what does that have to do with real estate? Well, anything that helps our city, any industry that moves here. When Mick Cornett was mayor, I mean, he got, well, I guess he wasn't mayor, but he was in this consulting. They got Costco to relocate here and relocated hundreds. Not only they built a couple of Costco stores, but there's several hundred white-collar jobs that came here as well. Anything that adds people and interest and whatever to our city helps our city's growth, and it helps the value of your property. The new arena we've talked about, it'll be opening in 2027. It'll be the Thunder's home for many years to come. I mean, all of those things are positive. And somebody can say, well, I don't care about basketball. I don't like basketball. I'm down here. We're coming live. As I said earlier in the show, I'm sitting here in Aventura, Florida. I've been at the 10X Grant Cardone headquarters. I've been down here in a couple of events, and of course, one of Grant's 10X certified real estate and business coaches, and here at a coaching mastermind, and before that we had a wealth conference and whatever. Anyway, there was one guy that was speaking about his sales techniques and how driven he was and whatever, and he didn't pay any attention to anything, whatever, and I in a break, he was talking to me, and I kind of politely told him use some foul language and said, I think but yeah, you can still be driven and still try to reach your task and reach your goals and still know what's going on in life. Okay? I mean, not knowing anything about the NBA Finals or not knowing anything in the case here of the Miami Dolphins or the Miami Heat, be able to converse with someone. You can work extremely hard and reach your goals, and I don't know what's going on. He took a shot at the NBA Finals. As he and I were talking, I kind of said, I think that is, I'll tell you what, we'll say on here what I told him, but I said, I don't necessarily agree with that. You don't have to sit and watch hours, but know what's going on. Know what's going on in life, because that's a part of your city. You want to relate to people. Most people are following it, and certainly, I think the Thunder have really captivated our state. Don't you feel like that, Brad? I mean, as I travel, it's not just in the city; it's the entire state. By and large, has an interest in what's going on with Oklahoma City Thunder.
Of course. I mean, if you look at going back to Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, you look at the global impact those two and really James Harden had on the city, it was huge. And now you look at the MVP of the league is a guy from Canada. They go get Alexander. And so when you look at what he's able to pull in, you look at what the Thunder are able to pull in, right, wrong, or indifferent, you're going to have over 1 billion eyes at some point tune in to Oklahoma and Oklahoma City, because that is how many people on a global scale are going to pay attention to what is happening over the next couple of weeks as the Thunder take on the Pacers. And so they might watch it for 5 minutes, or they may watch it for all 4 or 5 games, doesn't matter how long. That is a huge impact from a brand recognition on Oklahoma and what's happening here. And so rising tide floats all boats. To me, it is only a good thing. Yeah, I'm like you, Coach. I totally agree with your sentiment in conversation with this gentleman that doesn't think about it. At the end of the day, people want to do business with people they like. And if you can converse with somebody outside of the business world, you can talk about something that is sports related, it might be food related, whatever it is, that just helps. And to have a little bit of a working knowledge of what is happening in the NBA Finals, I think, cannot hurt you at all.
Absolutely. Great point. I call it intersecting circles. I mean, be able to speak with people a bit about what they're interested in. When You call me and I'll come over and we'll check out your house and we'll walk through your house. But you know what? If you got photos hanging on the wall and you're a baseball collector, I'm gonna want to talk about that. If you are, you know what? If you're a huge golfer and playing golf tournaments, I want to hear about that. Whatever the case would be. I mean, if you're a collector of coins, I don't know a lot about that, but I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to talk about it. And I think we used to have a postcard that when people used mail, it was time, Kendall, when people like wrote cards and letters and things. You know, it's probably before you guys' time, maybe. But I used to have a card. I was at Union University. It said, "People don't know how much you care," or people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's a great sales strategy and technique too, and one that has served, I know, me and probably all of us quite well. Thoughts on that, Kendall?
Yeah, that's a great one. The everything you're saying is right on the money. And people like to do what Brad said. I love that. Like, people want to do business with people they like, and they might even take some concessions on what you're selling because they like doing business with you, and you need to be able to relate to your people. Now, on the Thunder front, let's talk about this real quick. How many games? Okay, I think we all are going to say the Thunder are going to win the title. I'm a little concerned how high the percentage is of people that are saying the Thunder are going to win the title, but it seems imminent. And the question is, how many games is it going to take?
I would go on record right now if somebody, if you're asking me the question and you said, okay, calculate whatever, bet whatever, I'd say 5 games. It's going to be a 5-game series. I'm going to give in, and I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. It could be 4. But they won the East. The East is not very good in relation to the West. They're professional players, and they've got a $100 million plus payroll. But so be careful about saying anybody in the NBA can't beat anyone else. But I'm saying 5 games. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I think all the pressure, honestly, is on the Thunder because they are so odds-on favorite to win it. I think 5 games as well. That, you know, the Thunder, they really, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. I think the Thunder are going to win. I think they're going to win in 5 games. I would be very surprised if they sweep them. The way they are playing is unbelievable in every aspect, but also Indiana is playing very, very well. Indiana, to me, is a scary team because they play unselfish basketball. They move the ball around. They trap. They do all the things, Coach, that I know you preach as a former professional collegiate, basketball coach. I think it's going to be a good matchup. I think at the end of the day, a best-of-7 series definitely favors the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't care if they win in 4, 5, 6, or 7. Just win it. At the end of the day, I don't care if you win in Oklahoma City, you win in Indianapolis. To me, a win is a win no matter where you get it. And so I am as excited as I've ever been, and I can't wait to cheer on the Thunder tomorrow night.
Kendall, you asked the question, so what do you think?
Here's what I think. The Thunder got caught with their pants down, giving away Game 1 against Denver. They're not going to do that again. They got caught with their pants down, giving away Game 3 in embarrassing fashion to the Timberwolves. I don't think they're going to do that again. So that's my argument for a sweep. I think the best bet on the board is a sweep. The most likely bet, according to Vegas odds, is 5 games. And it's the predominant prediction.
Are you predicting a 4-0 sweep right now as we speak?
I do. I actually want the 5 because I want to win it on our home court, but I think it's going to be a sweep.
Well, listeners, as you remember, or if you're listening tomorrow, one of our, we're available now, by the way, if you are tuning in here on the Artist First Network, the Rick McCormick Show is available on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, and our YouTube channel. If you go to that YouTube channel, make sure you hit the like button. But you heard it here first. Kendal Dexter predicting a 4-0 sweep. If you're in a state where wagering is legal, and I believe it's legal right here in Florida, I believe, Kendall,
It definitely is in Florida.
Yeah, so I was going to say there's certainly a lot of advertisement about it if it's not. But so yeah, if you're wagered, don't call me. Okay, I mean I'll refer, or if you do, I'll refer you to Kendall's number on the 4-0 sweep. But it is great for our city. Like I said, Oklahoma City name is out there globally. When I tell people that right now at this event is I'm at as I mentioned 10X headquarters down here in Grant Cardone's organization. Say you're from Oklahoma City, because hey, you guys are in the finals. Hey, you guys, it's then. I mean, so it is something that carries. I won't say every single person everywhere knows, but there are the majority of people right now. When Oklahoma City is mentioned, the first thing to probably 3/4 of the people is our NBA team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, and from like I said, just an overall, whatever you want to call it, global identification or marketing strategy, to me does nothing but really helps our city and is really, really a cool thing and component. So, Brad, let's talk a little bit about this. Is this hotel, this 100+ story hotel? I know that thing's been back in the news. Is this thing going to happen? Because I really, at the end of the day, don't think that it will. But I mean, I know you're an investor and you're tied in down to the downtown area. What are your thoughts on the? Will it happen first, and then we'll get to this question, kind of part B of that question later.
Well, will it happen? My bet is still no. I don't think it will happen. Do I think the two smaller adjacent hotels will happen? Office spaces, yes, I do think they will happen. I think at some point what will happen is they will raise enough funds, they will get enough publicity to do the smaller footprint things, which will still be pretty impressive, while they are trying to do the larger deal. I just do not see how economically it makes sense, how they will be able to pull it off. My bet is it does not happen and they end up with the other stuff. You got to remember too, with what's happening with the new arena, the new Paycom arena that's going to come in, there's going to be a whole nother entertainment zone, a whole nother area that's going to pop up in and around that, which will compete with this hotel. At the end of the day, economics will drive out. I don't see how they will say it makes economic sense to build this massive hotel away from what will be now the new entertainment district with the new arena. So I don't think it makes, but it's good conversation for sure.
And from a commercial standpoint, there's quite a bit of empty office space down there right now.
Oh, correct. So, there's a ton of empty office space. I mean,
exactly.
Whether it's the Devon Tower, whether it's the BOK Center, or the Bank of Oklahoma Tower, there's a lot of empty space right now. I don't see how that makes sense. And then talk to your Grant Cardone is one of the premier multifamily investors in the country. And I'd be interested when you have the amount of Class A multifamily that's coming online in downtown Oklahoma City. I don't even see how it makes sense from an investor standpoint, how that will pencil out. I just can't see how that makes sense right now to do it. And so it's going to be an interesting deal. I know the city's actually behind it, though. The only thing they have going for it is they have some of the key players within the city that are actually behind it and are pushing for it. So that is why there is a plausible opportunity for it to make sense.
Speaking of Grant Cardone in apartments, he owns 14,000 doors right now.
That's a lot. A lot of doors.
That's quite a few guys. Kendall, you have any inside knowledge of that on the building? You think this guy's going to be able to pull this off?
Brad knows more than I do on this, but just looking at who is the spearhead of the deal, I thought from day one it wasn't happening, and it doesn't make sense for the size of our city currently to have that kind of space available when there's already space available, and then you're just going to have tremendous vacancy. And I mean, it could drive some attention, but I just don't think if you're going to do something like that and build what they're saying would be like the tallest tower in North America, is Oklahoma City. I mean, I love our city and it's on the grow, but is that the right move to make for this city right now. Like, I don't
and
think
for our listeners there, to be specific, we're talking about a building proposed in downtown Oklahoma City that will be taller, 110 stories. I mean, taller than the Empire State Building, the tallest building in North America. And it's been in the news recently again, and there's some momentum for it. I mean, will it happen? Number one, and number two, if it happens, with a combination of living and commercial space and and residential and whatever, is there a need for it? And I think we're feeling that at the end of the day, I'm feeling that it probably will not happen, and it seems that Brad agrees. And we'd love to hear your opinion on it. And we're going to pushed up against the end of the hour here and about to bounce off. But you can always reach us even after the show, or if you're listening to one of the venues during the week, you can reach out to us at 405-310-7470. Love to hear from you. And speaking of that, gentlemen, Kendal Dexter, the owner at Security Financial Mortgage, Brad Martin, the owner at Premier Insurance, and myself, Rick McCormick, the owner of the Rick McCormick Realty Group, powered by eXp Realty. All three great businesses ready here to serve and assist you. And we'd love to hear from you and help you work together and help you achieve your objective, whatever it might be, in any of our areas. But thank you for listening, and thank you for being with us as you're listening to the Rick McCormick Show. And I'm your host, Rick McCormick. And until next time, you stay safe, and may God bless.